It is Derek from the Fantasy Flyer, just dropping in with your playoff day one update, review, and notes. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on what happened on day one. It is January 13th, 2024, day one of the Super Wildcard weekend. But today we had two AFC matchups that happened, one at 4:30 Eastern and one at 8:15 Eastern, and we're going to talk about them just a little bit. So we'll start off with the first game of the Browns and the Texans. This game was not close in the end. And if you watched any of it, you probably understood why. The turnovers from Joe Flacco absolutely made this game almost unbearable to watch. The Texans always seemed in control of this football game, and defensively, it was not allowing the rush and putting an immense amount of pressure on really the two main pass catchers for the Cleveland Browns, and also on Joe Flacco just a little bit. Flacco had 3 interceptions, I believe, a couple really horrible plays. Houston defensively had way more tenacity. It looked like the roles were super switched. Just Houston defense was out of its mind, and Cleveland's defense had a hard time stopping absolutely anything. The big takeaway from this, however, is rookie quarterback CJ Stroud. This man is on his way to being easily a top 5 quarterback in this league. Stroud and Collins, Nico Collins, have to be a top 7 quarterback wide receiver combo in the league. For fantasy context, Collins is like borderline first round value in dynasty formats, probably top 50 value in redraft next year, which would probably make him a top 4 pick in most leagues, top 4 rounds, I should say. Stroud is the first quarterback drafted in the top 2 of the NFL draft to win his first playoff game in his rookie season since 1967. So you are talking 46 years. Nope, that's bad math. Try that again. 56 years. And CJ Stroud is he looks so comfortable in all of the things that he seems to do it's amazing actually what he can do with this football team. Quick to go through some of the stats. Joe Flacco for the Browns. Let's cover the Browns first. Flacco, 34 for 46, had a touchdown, only 2 interceptions, not 3. Did have 307 passing yards. Kareem Hunt had 8 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. Jerome Ford, 9 carries for 17 yards. In the receiving game, David Njoku did have 7 catches for 93 yards. Harrison Bryant had 4 for 65. Amari Cooper, 4 for 59. And David Bell, 8 catches for 54 yards out of left field. Good for him. Kareem Hunt also had a receiving touchdown for the Houston Texans. They scored 45 points and held the Browns to 0 second half points, not a single point. CJ Stroud, 16 for 21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. On the rushing side, Devin Singletary, 13 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. Receiving wise, Nico Collins, 6 catches on 7 targets, 96 yards and a touchdown. Brevin Jordan had 1 catch out of the tight end spot, 76 yards on that breakaway touchdown. John Mechie, 3 catches for 44 yards. Dalton Schultz, a single catch, but it was a touchdown, a 37-yard touchdown pass. And again, there was a couple pick sixes in there, both back-to-back interceptions from Joe Flacco that really sealed this for Houston in the third quarter. And they just kind of salted it away. Post game, CJ Stroud was talked to about how his teammates were handling the situation and the pressure and how they stepped up. Here's what he had to say.
Just hard work we put in our practice. There's no me without my teammates, my O-line, my tight ends, my running backs, my receivers, my defense. We all put it together. When you play in complementary football, we're going to be hard to beat.
CJ, best of luck moving forward. Thanks.
And he's 100% correct because that's exactly what happened. It's not just him This Houston team is looking to make a run deep into the playoffs with a rookie quarterback and a very underrated set of receivers. The opposite side of the ball, Myles Garrett had this to say about CJ Stroud.
The man was, he wasn't too flustered, getting to his spots, being able to slip through and find a gap for him to throw, and when he needed to, escaping out the pocket and making throws downfield. But there was a lot of close plays where we applied pressure, but he made those plays, or he got it out quick enough for us to not be able to make that play.
And it's important to hear that from Myles Garrett, who had a very, very good defensive season for the Browns. The Browns in general had a very good defensive season, and to hear that come from someone of his stature towards a rookie, you just know this guy is going to be something special. He's 23 years old, I think, is CJ Stroud. He has a bright future ahead of him, and it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the rest of this postseason and going into next season, how he develops with the team. Going on to game two, however, we had one more at 8:15. The Chiefs and the Dolphins playing in the Arctic tundra that was Kansas City. The Chiefs did defeat the Dolphins 26-7. The Dolphins, to me, just never seemed like they were ever in this game. They could not get the offense warm. Obviously, the weather didn't help. It was below zero, and with the wind chills, it felt like -20 all game. But it just felt like Kansas City in general was more prepared to handle it. They probably should. They aren't in a warm climate for a few months of the year. They're in a very cold climate, and it makes sense. Patrick Mahomes has kind of been through this thing, so I'm not exactly surprised. But even the things that Kansas City could control, they absolutely controlled immensely defensively. Even their offense worked out amazing. Kansas City's defense, they had a pair of sacks and they got an interception on Miami. Miami did get a fumble off of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but it just never could amount to anything. The drives would start for 2 plays and then get backed up and stopped up, and there was a lot of 3-and-outs. Tua Tagovailoa rushed for 2 of the 9 or 10 first downs that Miami had in the game, which is not an amazing number. In the end, Kansas City's offense found its rhythm more frequently than it didn't and continued to spread this gap in the score in the game. This game just ended about 20 minutes ago from when I'm recording, so I have no interviews from this one. I will give you the stats, however. Tua Tagovailoa, 20 for 39, 199 yards, touchdown, and an interception. Raheem Mostert led the rushing, 8 carries for 33 yards. Devon Achane, 6 carries, 9 yards. As far as receiving goes, Miami, 5 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Cedric Wilson, 3 for 37. River Craycraft, 2 for 33. Jalen Waddle, a quiet 2 for 31 on 5 targets. Devon Achane, 3 for 21 in the receiving game. Miami tried to spread the ball around. It just didn't work. It just wasn't effective. For Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, 262 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown, 23 for 41 completions to attempt. As far as the rushing goes, Isaiah Pacheco had a rushing touchdown, 89 yards on the ground. Rashee Rice, still the guy in that receiving core, keeping up with Travis Kelce anyway. Rashee Rice, 8 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Would have had a second touchdown, but it got called back on a holding penalty, I believe. Travis Kelce, 7 catches on 10 targets for 71 yards, and then a pair of catches for Justin Watson, 1 catch apiece for Noah Gray, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Richie James, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mecole Hardman, and Isaiah Pacheco. Defensively, the pressure was there. I mean, all game, really, for the Chiefs on the Dolphins. And it's just going to be interesting to see how the Dolphins go into the offseason and they start to attack the real issues, which is how is this offensive line going to get better because it needs to, and how's the defensive line going to be able to apply more pressure because they don't. Xavier Howard and even Kohu, can't pronounce his name. I know it's that. Good cornerbacks all in general. Good cornerbacks, good safety work all the way around. Jalen Ramsey, of course, is there. They don't play bad in the secondary, especially against these teams that they need to play well. But some of the scheming gets to them, and if you can't apply pressure, they had 0 sacks on Patrick Mahomes. You can't let the man just kind of stand back there, and he will find a hole and he will exploit it. He had 41 rushing yards on only 2 attempts. He knows when he can't even throw it, he'll run for it. So Different situation with the weather, and this game probably would have been closer. Obviously, wasn't the same as their first matchup earlier this year in Germany, which was very close, very competitive. But it's good to see the Chiefs come away. I've already said this to a couple of people in some of the football groups, is that the Chiefs find a second gear, well, maybe not even second gear, maybe it's a sixth or eighth gear that they don't access during the regular season. When it comes to playoff time, they turn the wick up. And this is a perfect example because with these temperatures, it's tough to get, it's tough to get a 66% completion percentage. And Tua had a 52%. Patrick Mahomes was really not even that much better. I think he's in the upper 50s as far as completion percentage goes. It's not amazing. So we can start off with that. Uh, but the game plan and to be able to pull off some of these plays, Rashee Rice in his first game really exposed to these levels of cold and chill, was able to pull in 8 catches, had 130 yards, had the touchdown or really two. It wasn't his fault that the second one got called back, but he has a bright future with Kansas City. Obviously, you have Travis Kelce, who has stated he wants to come back for next year. So a lot of this Kansas City team can return, but it is really about where can they go this year. As for these two teams, obviously both of these are in the AFC. These two teams going forward, you will have the matchup for each of them going forward next week will depend on what happens on what is now Monday. As we know, the Bills and Steelers game in Buffalo has been pushed to Monday. There are rumors that it could be pushed to Tuesday because it is going to continue to snow in Buffalo for the next how many ever days. But if Buffalo wins that matchup, the Texans will take on the Ravens, and the Chiefs will travel to Buffalo next weekend. If the Steelers win, then it will be Steelers Ravens, and then it will be Texans and Chiefs. All in all, good matchups either way around. I'm so interested to see if the Texans do take on the Ravens. It is my prediction that they will, and I am super excited for that matchup. So just wanted to drop in and give some of my thoughts on the follow-up to the first day of the playoffs. If I get some time tomorrow night, I will do the same for day two. If not, I will hold off and do day two and day three together on Monday after those games are finished, which will be later. Tomorrow we have Packers Cowboys at 4:30, and then the Sunday night football game, which will be Lions Rams in Detroit. On Monday, we now have the Steelers and Bills, as I just mentioned, in Buffalo. And then at 8 o'clock at night, it is the Eagles and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eagles without A.J. Brown, that has been confirmed. So it will be a very interesting matchup all the way around. For Derek at the Fantasy Flyer, I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace out.